Good afternoon. My name is Athena McKay, the Executive Director of Flint Innovative Solutions. Welcome to Taking It to the Streets, Healthy Conversations for Us, by Us, COVID-19 and beyond. Thank you so much for joining us today through Facebook Live and YouTube. Please take a pencil and paper, write down some questions you may have for our expert panel. We have a few seconds that we want to make sure that you go and like and share this video so that other folks in our community are informed what's going on with COVID-19 and beyond. Again, join us every second Sunday here on Facebook Live. And this production is brought to you by grant funding by the Community Foundation of Greater Flint, the NNICE funding mechanism, which is the national network to innovate for COVID and adult vaccine equity. Our project, our being Flint Innovative Solutions Project's name is the Genesee County COVID-19 Portal, or GCCP, where we have worked with local faith-based organizations and community centers to increase access to COVID-19 vaccines, also developing a centralized mobile application and a web-based application to find the resources we need as a community to combat COVID-19, to get vaccinated, not only with COVID-19, but also for flu and other immunizations. Working with our partners here, these phenomenal nurses that we have on our panel from Michigan United, we've put over 24 shots in arms to combat COVID-19. We again have co-labored with, as you all are so familiar with, Dr. Latressa Gordon, Nurse T, or affectionately known as Nurse T, also Nurse Battle. We also have a special guest, you know how we do it here, Mr. Rafael Turner from Consumers Energy, and we'll continue our conversation about community resources. So to no delay, I will bring on our guest. We're going to keep it a little light today because the break's over, right? Summer, we hit past Labor Day. Summer is over. We're back in school, back in the books. Parents, you know, you're hustling and bustling to get the kids taken care of. College students, you're back on campus. So we're going to keep it light, but I do want to share some personal information from our panel. Nurse Tanya, I'm going to ask you, what was one highlight that you want to share with our audience, and just say hello to the people?
Hi, everybody, and good happy Sunday today. One highlight, I went to Jamaica. I think it was like in June. So it was the very beginning of summer. Of course it was I was still very concerned about COVID, and how traveling, how traveling was affected by COVID. One thing that I guess that I was surprised to see when we arrived at the hotel that I stayed at, they met you at the door with hand sanitizer. This was in Jamaica. They met you at the door in the restaurant, wherever you went, they were there with hand sanitizer. So I was very happy to see that. However, I was still very, 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 very cautious, wearing my mask. And I think that was a requirement of that particular hotel as well. So, you know, it was good to get away and to just be in the sun. But it was still just a very time of anxiety as well on the plane, in the airport. So, you know, but it was good to get away. And so that was a highlight of my summer. That's you.
Awesome. Yeah. How long were you in Jamaica, Tanya?
Just like 3 or 4 days, I think, maybe 3 days. I didn't do anything, you know, and that was one time I can really say that I really vacationed, that I really relaxed and, you know, just got to enjoy the sun and just having to do nothing.
That's beautiful. I'm still penciling in some time from some downtime. So
yeah.
And it's also encouraging too, when they, you know, lifted everything, They allow
Mm-hmm.
travel to come back, but they're still being precautious. So
Yeah.
that's encouraging too. Awesome, awesome. I do see Nurse T on the call. Nurse T, would you like to share with us one of your highlights from this summer, ma'am?
Absolutely. One of my highlights from this summer was going to Vegas with some friends that I have been friends with for about 30 plus years. We went to Vegas and we got to see Usher. So that was just totally amazing, and to do a little shopping, and I just had a great time. So Vegas is on my list every year.
All right. And what happened in Vegas, you actually could bring some of that joy back with you, right?
Yes, I brought some bags back, but what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I hear that. I hear that. Well, we are glad to have you back here, boots on the ground. LaTressa, Dr. Gordon, share a highlight with us, please, ma'am.
Okay, just a highlight. My problem is picking one. Well, I'm gonna go with the water parks. I did go to Jamaica in February, but for summer, I got to take myself and grandchildren. We went to the Zender and Frankie moved the water park, and we had a blast. And also, it was the same thing with your that park was good because it had the ceiling that opened up, so that allowed them to stay open during the pandemic because they were able to open their ceiling to let the fresh air flow through. Still being mindful with wiping down things, but in the water you can't wear your mask, so it's kind of but you are able to social distance a little bit. So that was a highlight, taking them to the water park for my grandson's birthday and going down the slides and the lazy river and just enjoying at that time. That's what I was.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Them grandbabies, I'm a new grandmother, and they bring a whole nother element of life. How many grandchildren do you have?
I have five. My oldest is 9. I'm a young grandma. Yeah, I'm a young G Ma G Doc. Yeah, yeah. So I had so I have a 9-year old Naya. She's the one that was out dancing. It's almost at my hip. Braden and Sander, Layla and Mila. So we have a 9-year old, 6-year old, 3-year old, 1.5-year old, and a soon to be 4-month old. So they are
Awesome,
the
awesome.
love of my lives. They keep me going and keep me, like I say, moving and on my toes. Yes,
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you, ladies. As you know, community, we have to find balance. And I just wanted to share that these educated, fine Black women are also human. They are out in the community. They are also educated, and they have, oftentimes we don't see the human side of folks, and so we wanted to bring in this commonality. Going to Jamaica, spending time with grandbabies, going to Vegas, and just probably. I don't know, Nurse T. I think you had a little something on your chin after talking about Usher. So those are the things that we need to talk about as women, as humans, right, going through this pandemic. We're gonna shift gears real quick, get into the meat of things. As you know, as the slides come up, as you know, well, you may know that September is National Preparedness Day. Excuse me, Preparedness Month. We here in the community have been hit dramatically from um, the water crisis, the pandemic, and I'll just say underline over many years racism as a public health crisis. So what do you do to prepare yourself for the tornadoes, the all the many ways that your life can be disturbed? This is actually the national September is the National Preparedness Month. And so we do have our partner from Comcast, again, Mr. Rafael Turner, which will be sharing some resources later on in the podcast. But this do some research, and we'll share some stuff on our website and our Facebook page too. Prepare your family for emergency. Something could go on. It's better to be safe than sorry. Also, we're going to turn over to Tanya to share with us the newest updates about COVID-19.
Hello, everyone, again. So the flyer that's on the screen is actually about a health fair that's going to be held at Mount Olive Baptist Church on October 1st. And our special guest is going to be Miss Jackson, who is our nutrition specialist. So everybody, mark your calendars, October 1st, Mount Olive Baptist Church is going to be a health fair, and just come on out. There's going to be so much information shared, health information, emergency preparedness information, and nutrition information. So please mark your calendars. So, we have I'll just talk a little, and that's a flyer about Salem Summer Festival. That is with Pastor Monica's church at Salem Lutheran on Martin Luther King Avenue. That is next Saturday, and they are preparing a good time. It's a neighborhood outing, and just please mark your calendars on next Saturday, November 17th, from noon to 3:00 p.m. I think vaccines will be available, and it's going to be lots of fun. So please mark your calendars for that also. And I'm just going to give a quick update on about our vaccine clinics this coming week. We will be at the Genesee County Health Department on the 13th at Davison Farmers Market from 12:30 to 3:30. And there have been a few changes that Dr. G is going to give us some updates on that. But on Wednesday, we'll be at Central Church of the Nazarene as well, from 10 to 2 p.m. So those, and then next week will be Shiloh as well. So those are our three pillars for our vaccine clinics. And then, as always, testing. If you don't feel well, and you've been exposed to someone with COVID, please get tested. If you don't have a home test, we have testing sites: Walgreens, Hamilton Community Health, Rite Aid, as well as Word of Life Church, and Macedonia, and Bethel Methodist United Church, our testing sites also. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. G, and she's going to give us some updates on our vaccines.
Hello, everyone. How you doing today? All righty. COVID, we're just going to go over a little statistics. COVID remains a public health issue. It's important to continue checking the local data trends and cases changes over time. Currently, the latest update is August 29th, 2022. There's 454 cases for Genesee County. Testing of positivity is 23.8%. Deaths have been less than 5 since August 5th. And then hospitalization is 9.3%. And the outcomes is peaking. So right now, the CDC has us in high level of transmission. So that means that COVID-19 is a higher chance of contacting or contracting COVID-19 right now. The transmission rate is high. Next slide, please. Why should you stay up to date with your COVID-19 vaccines? Getting vaccinated has shown improvement, and getting boosted greatly reduces your risk of severe illness, hospitalization, and death. That's the main goal behind getting vaccine. People say, well, I thought it's supposed to prevent it. It does not prevent you from getting COVID-19, but it greatly reduces your chance of severe illness, hospitalization, death. The COVID-19 vaccine includes boosters that are effective against known variants, including Omicron. And all COVID-19 vaccines have currently been approved and authorized in the U.S. and have been proven safe. So you can also find vaccines near you, www.vaccines, and also go to the portal or the Genesee County website will also have up-to-date clinics near you. Okay, this is also for post-COVID, just some information. If you had COVID-19 in the past, when you go to the doctor, this is just a checklist of things, because sometimes you can't remember everything. You can take this checklist. It's still ongoing investigation regarding post-COVID conditions. That means you had COVID, and now after COVID, you're having some type of symptoms that's long-term. So before your appointment, ask your provider if they, fill out all your paperwork. Keep you a journal for the week of any type of symptoms, activity, severity, anything that makes you feel better or worse. Prepare a brief report that summarizes your experience, the symptoms, describe your best and worst days. Make a list of your current medications, supplements, all the things that you're taking. Make a list of questions that you want to ask your healthcare provider. This helps put you in control of your health, being your own healthcare advocate. Identify which things are a priority to you in case your time is limited. Make sure plan on remembering your conversation with your healthcare provider. If you're there, bring a friend or take notes while you're having the conversation, because sometimes you might have one thing in your mind and it's so much and you forget what your physician tells you or what you want to ask your physician. If you need transportation, arrange that. And during your appointment, tell your provider about the important symptoms or issues that you have to want to discuss. Ask all the questions you need. Share that medication list. Discuss your list of activities. Ask your own questions. Prioritize things that are important to you. Like, I'm not sleeping well, or I have more migraines, or I get fatigued when I go up and down the stairs. And make sure you understand the next steps, such as follow-up, referrals, and future appointments. And then at the end of that appointment, just say, okay, can you let's recap this appointment, A, B, C, D. I have these issues. You recommend such. And then ask it for a printout. And then for future appointments, make the appointment, follow up, record all your future appointments, and follow your provider's instructions to the best of your ability. Contact your provider's office with questions for clarification, and continue to record symptoms and keep your journal so you can refer for updated or changes during your next appointment. Okay, next slide. Okay, so now we all know that the new booster or bivalent has just arrived. Actually, on Thursday at Shiloh, it rolled out. Bivalent. What is bivalent? Bivalent is a combination of the original strain of COVID with the original spike protein version, and then the BA4 and BA5 reformulated to create the bivalent booster. There's no live virus in the bivalent, but it's reformulated and currently is recommended for 12-year-old Pfizer. So even if your child received Moderna for their primary series, you have to have a primary series. The primary series means you've had two your original Moderna 28 days apart, or your Pfizer 21 days apart. That's your primary. It cannot be given, the bivalent cannot be given as a primary at this time. So once you have that, 2 months after you completed your primary series of either Moderna or Pfizer, you're eligible for the bivalent booster. And right now, everyone in that age range is eligible. So if you had your 4 vaccines and you're 50 and up, as long as it's been 2 months, you can come and get your bivalent. If you're under that 50-year range, you had your 1 booster, you can come get a bivalent booster. And if you have not had any boosters and bivalent will be your first booster, right now it's only recommended to have that 1 booster. And so age 12 will use Pfizer for the bivalent, and Moderna is 18 and up. And then we just have monoclonal antibodies, Evusheld for COVID pre-exposure prophylactic. You can find out more from that from your provider. Next slide, please. Okay, so if you're severely, moderately, or severely immunocompromised, your series will look a little bit different. People 6 months through 4 years old will have 2 primary vaccines, and then in 4 weeks, and then another 4 weeks, you can have another primary. Okay, and then you'll go, that's for Moderna. And then for Pfizer, it's 3 weeks, 21 days. And then the next within that 8-week period. And then that's for 6 months to 4. For people that are 5 through 11 that are mildly or severe immunocompromised, they get 3 doses as well. Same timing for Moderna is 4 weeks for the first shot, then your second shot 4 weeks later. And within that 28 days period, you'll get your next primary. And then the same thing for Pfizer, because they have the booster out for that age 5 to 11. They can't get the bivalent, but you can get the monovalent booster for Pfizer. And so you'll do a primary dose, your first dose, your second dose 3 weeks later, and then 28 days or 4 weeks at a time, you'll do another primary dose. So you'll have 3 primary doses. And then they have at least 3 months you can get the monovalent booster. Next slide. Okay. And so then this is for 6 months, and for Moderna primary, primary booster, 28 days, Pfizer, 21 days. and people 5 through 11, kind of recapping the same thing. But the thing for the bivalent, which is a new change that just came out last week, for 12 and up, you had to receive Pfizer. So if your child received Moderna for their primary series, they will not receive Moderna for the bivalent booster. The FDA has only approved it for Pfizer 12 and up, and it has to be 2 months after completion of that primary series. And 18 and older, same thing for J&J. It's only a 1 dose, and 2 weeks later you're considered fully vaccinated. 2 months after receiving J&J, you can get your bivalent booster. Okay. And that kind of concludes the schedule for the vaccines. Another slide. Okay, so now I'll turn it over to Nurse T.
Hi, everybody. Once again, so glad to be back from break. Thank you for that education, Dr. Gordon. It's so important, and Tanya for sharing information, and Athena. It's so important that when we come on, that the community really take heed to this information, because it can be life changing so that you can become a better version of yourself. In addition to September being a lot of awareness for multiple things, one of which is September is also Sickle Cell Awareness Month, Child Safety Month, and it's also Sepsis Awareness Month, which is what I want to talk about right quick. I want you guys to be informed on what sepsis is, so when you ever have to go to the hospital, or your loved ones go to the hospital and they tell you that your loved one is septic, you know exactly what it is. Sepsis is the body's overwhelming and life-threatening response to infection that can lead to tissue damage, organ failure, and death. A lot of times in the hospital, some of our patients did come in with COVID, and their COVID resolved, but because of the severity of COVID and what happened to the body, they became septic. So that's why I really want you guys to understand what being septic is. It's your body's overreactive and toxic response to an infection, like strokes or heart attacks. Sepsis is a medical emergency that requires rapid diagnosis and treatment. Sepsis can lead to severe sepsis and septic shock. What's very interesting to know about septic is that it has 3 stages. The first stage is an infection. It gets in your bloodstream and causes inflammation in your body. A lot of people think that sepsis is blood poisoning. It's not blood poisoning. That is a myth. It is an infection. Severe sepsis, the infection and inflammation is severe enough to start affecting organ function. So if you or your loved ones are in the hospital and they tell you that your loved one or you have severe sepsis, you know now it's the beginning stages of affecting your organ function. Septic shock is the last and most severe stage of sepsis. It's a serious medical condition that occurs when an infection in your body causes low blood pressure and organ failure. Due to sepsis, it requires immediate medical treatment. The difference between septic shock and sepsis. Sepsis is life-threatening. It happens when your immune system overreacts to an infection. Severe sepsis, this is when sepsis causes your organs to malfunction. This is usually because of low blood pressure and a result of inflammation throughout your body. Septic shock is the last stage of sepsis and is defined by extremely low blood pressure despite lots of IV fluid. So what we just briefly went over is the 3 stages of sepsis. You have sepsis, you have severe sepsis, and you have septic shock. The one thing that we need to know about sepsis is that it is a medical emergency. And just like we identify signs and symptoms for stroke, we need to be able to identify the signs and symptoms for sepsis. Early signs, this can be like fast heart rate, shaking or chills, warm, clammy, or sweaty skin, confusion or disorientation, hyperventilating, rapid breathing, shortness of breath. the myth for so long have heard the term blood poisoning used to describe sepsis. It's not blood poisonous, it's an infection. One thing too, just like how the BFAST, when we educate on stroke, when we talk about the acronym BFAST for stroke, sepsis also has an acronym, and that acronym is time. When it comes to sepsis, remember it's about time. The time, the T is for temperature, high or lower than normal. The I is for infection. The M is for mental decline, and the E is for extremely ill. So it's very important that in the community that we begin to be familiar with the signs and symptoms and all of the risk factors that impact our loved ones. I know a lot of times we think, oh, that'll never happen to us, or we don't have to worry about it. But yes, you can be a diabetic, you can come to the hospital, you have could be not managing your diabetes well, and then guess what? Now you have an infection. Now you're in sepsis, which could be stage 1. Now it could start progressing to stage 2, and now it's starting to, have your organs impacted. And then stage 3, your organs are impacted. So the one thing that we need to remember about sepsis that it is a medical emergency, and that the acronym is time. Sepsis is serious. So even when you're in the hospital, making sure your healthcare providers are washing, foaming in and foaming out, making sure that anytime you have any kind of IV lines, that they're following policies, procedures, and protocols. It's very important that the community be aware of what goes on. And as well, our hospitals, most hospitals now, because this is Sepsis Awareness Month, they're really educating their staff and making sure that we're on top of it so that we can better serve the community. It's about the untalkables. It's about us being familiar and not being afraid, so that whenever any one of us is in the hospital or our loved ones, so when they begin to say, this is sepsis, now we're familiar with it. Going to close on it's time. Time is the acronym for sepsis. Once again, temperature represents the T, I represents the infection, M represents the mental decline, and E represents the extremely ill. So appreciate you. It's time for us to take care of ourselves and pay attention to all of these risk factors so that we can become healthier, better versions of ourselves. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Athena.
Thank you so much, Nurse Battle, Dr. Gore, and Nurse T. Always, always so much information. We are going to bring them back in just a moment, but without further delay, I want to introduce to some and announce to others. We have our special guest, Mr. Rafael Turner. He's no stranger to the Flint community for his years of service at the Ruth Mott Foundation, also Mott Community College. Rafael, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. So excited to be on this panel with this brilliant group of community leaders and healthcare professionals. You guys are doing amazing work, God's work, and really having a true impact on improving the health in our community. So I'm so glad I'll have a few minutes to share with you and the audience today.
Absolutely. Well, with no further ado, I will turn it over to you, sir. Before I do, let me be equitable. What is one highlight that you had over the summer since the break is over?
Absolutely, yeah. One of my highlights, taking the family to Orlando. We went to Universal Studios this year, so that was really nice. We were able to rent an Airbnb and do a condo there. So we were able to all stay together. Had a nice facility to stay there, and just seeing the kids enjoy the theme park and the amusement park. So that just one of the joys of having young kids that are at the age where they enjoy all the roller coasters and thrill rides, movies and activities. And so it was just really a great time to do with the family in my highlight.
Awesome. And we give credit where credit is due. Honor your queen. How long you been together?
Absolutely. 13 years. So yeah, 13
awesome.
years. So it's important, praying together, obviously staying together, traveling together, having some of life experiences, all adds to our health, right? We all need to recharge and take care of do some self-care and mental health as well, being able to enjoy those special times with family. So thank you.
Awesome. Now, so you're at Consumers Energy. You have some resources. Could you share those with us?
Absolutely. Yep, I'll jump in too. And I'm sorry, I'll give a little bit about my background again. Rafael Turner. So I'm the Community Affairs Manager for Consumers Energy. I work in Genesee County, Shiawassee County, Saginaw. Those are my service territory. But prior to being in this role, I worked with the Rooftop Foundation, doing grant making and community. And so, Flint is my hometown, born and raised. And so just happy to be here to share a few resources. So very quickly, I'll start with just want to talk about energy efficiency solutions for your home. As we know, we have to keep a safe and healthy home environment, right? And that I believe that's one of the pillars and cornerstones of our health, as well as making sure that we're keeping a safe, clean, and healthy home environment. And I just want to talk about that from an energy perspective of what we can do to be more energy efficient. And also help, it never hurts to help save some of our resources, save some money on our utility bills that can go towards other things that we enjoy doing or need to do for ourselves and for our household. At Consumers Energy, our model, we look at people, planet, and the prosperity. Mission is prosperity. And so, we want our residents, our customers, our community partners to really prosper in every way. And so we really put together a list of resources that can help our customers, whether they're residential customers or business customers, really reach those goals. And so really quickly, when you talk about your home's energy use, just to give a breakdown, of your overall cost that you incur over the year, about 29% of that comes from heating costs, 17% from cooling, about 14% from the water heater, which is one of our, which is one of the utilities that we have that we all keep in our homes that uses quite a bit of energy. Another 13% comes from lighting, 12% from appliances, 11% of that overall energy use pie would be just other things that we're plugging in and using energy for, and then about 4% as we think about like the electronics and electronic devices that we have in our homes. So energy, to be energy efficient, we want to obviously use the least amount of resources that we can. So cutting down our costs as it relates to natural gas or electricity in our homes. And I'm just want to talk about a few ways that we can go about reducing some of those costs and being a little bit more energy efficient. So first, when we look at like residential programs that come to mind, there are two programs that are available. One is no cost to participate and to help benefit your home is the walkthrough checkup. And this is one where you could work with an energy professional, schedule an appointment for them to come out to the home and just talk about some direct installations or give you a customized report regarding your home's energy efficiency. And then you could take comfort in knowing that you could possibly reduce your bills by a couple $100s, over the course of a year by taking some of these steps. We also want to look at to be able to participate in these programs. You have to have not done an energy efficiency program or upgrade before. Have to have an active account with the company, with Consumers Energy, and also willing to schedule that appointment to have someone to come out and do an assessment, a home assessment, to take a look at what needs to be done. So about the home analysis, this is an opportunity to do some direct install by a trained technician who would come out, and they want to look at really the what are some of the things that you can do regarding high pressure, like low volume. So that technician will look at things like kitchen faucets to help install aerators on the kitchen faucet, so you're using less water. Although water is not a utility that we provide, it's still going to be a major cost savings when you talk about energy waste reduction in your home. So we're looking at kitchen faucets, bathroom faucets, getting aerators, and also shower heads as well to help reduce that amount of pressure, use a lower amount of water, and in turn helping to lower that utility bill. Water heaters, making sure they are wrapped so that they're keeping they're staying insulated and keeping the water warm without kicking on and off, as least often as possible. So that helps to reduce the rate there. And also thinking about installing programmable, which is available with some units, not all heating units, but many heating units would allow you to use a programmable thermostat. And that way, when you leave your home for a period of time, obviously, putting it on a lower setting, so you're not losing energy when you and your family or loved ones are away from the home, and that significantly reduces heating costs as well during the fall and the winter and the heating months each season. It's also about helping neighbors. So, we have programs, when someone comes out to do an analysis of your home and give you some of these benefits of installing some efficiency programs there. Also, referring or talking to your neighbors about it as well, helping those that that may be on a fixed or limited income, and helping them to learn more about some of these energy efficiency programs and having walkthroughs as well. We just want to elevate these programs and really move forward. One way that we could take a look is always you feel free to go to consumersenergy.com/myhome and really dive into some of the programs and plans that are out there that can help you save resources. So how consumers energy can help, on that website talks about different discounts that are out there, rebates that you may receive when you're looking to make some upgrades in your home, maybe upgrading some appliances, like your furnace, your water heater, air conditioning units, or other appliances that you use every day, like your washer and dryer and kitchen appliances as well. So there's information out there about rebates, what type of things you can do internally to help better insulate your home so you're not losing heating during the winter months, during the fall and winter months, and really making those improvements. So it's just really about, again, being a good steward of our resources, really thinking about our planet, but also thinking about the bottom line of our homes to really help save resources that can go to doing other very important things that are needed and that we need to take care of to effectively run a household. We are always, on standby. Myself, others on my team are around to connect you with the energy efficiency specialist to set that visit up. And we just encourage individuals to do that and take advantage of some of these programs. Again, because it's really a big savings for those that are able to take advantage of it and implement some of these things. And it's very timely right now as we are, summer is closing out when we're preparing to go into the fall and winter season. And so we want to be proactive before we get deep into the heating season with making some of these upgrades and improvements to our homes. So, I'll stop there, but definitely want to be able to answer any questions that you may have and just, have a brief dialogue if there's still time to do so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Turner. Yeah, I kind of dread winter. We know that it's coming. We are in Michigan for whatever reason. We've chose to stay in this state. So we know that's coming. And we know that COVID is here. We know that we need to, as Tanya mentioned, we need to get vaccinated. We need to know where those testing sites are. So I bring the whole panel back in for this conversation. And then, so I have a few questions. Tanya, is the bivalent that Dr. Gordon mentioned available at all three of the standing sites?
Yes, Perfect. They will be. Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. And then, LaTressa, you mentioned, well, you described very well the different patterns, right, through age groups. So bottom line is you need to get the 2-shot series unless you went to the J&J, and then you can look at the bivalent booster.
Correct. Yes. So if you have say how you have three, you have your two doses. Like I said, the primary series must be completed first, and then you can get the bivalent booster. So if you already had a booster, you're still eligible to get the bivalent booster. But if it's your first time being boosted, like before, they recommended 5 months, to get the second booster. If you're 50 years old, you can get a booster at 5 months and then at 4 months. So with the bivalent right now, currently, once you get that bivalent, there's no additional boosters recommended. So, but everyone's eligible now, because it was just 50 and up. We're getting boosted with the extra booster. So you are eligible. And only for 12 and up, and Pfizer is the only one for 12 and up for the bivalent booster.
Thank you for that. And Nurse T, you sepsis. Am I saying that correctly? Okay. And we know that it is time. We got to check our temperature. We know that there's an infection that occurs. Our mental capacity can decline with sepsis, and then you become extremely ill. And
Yes.
so time is our acronym. I love that. I love how you bring those acronyms in. Is there a treatment for that, or can you explain, if someone does have sepsis, what is the next step?
Yes. If somebody has any of those symptoms, they need to go to whatever hospital they go to, and then they will be evaluated. Normally, when you have sepsis, you get fluids, so hydration, antibiotics, and medications, depending on the severity of your sepsis. So, like, you have early signs, and then you have late signs. So, like, paying attention to the time, the temperature, the infection, the mental decline, and the being extremely ill. So when you come in, they'll treat you as such. That's why too, like I was sharing, like being in the hospital, sometimes when we're in the hospital, we don't really pay attention to what nurses or doctors or whoever is caring for us, we don't really pay attention. But like one thing too, just to give an example, is like IVs. So like if you have IVs, so nurses, when they're caring for you and you have an IVs, they're changing your IVs, they're cleaning around your IVs, making sure to prevent infection. Because infection in your blood, because the blood circulates, so it begins to circulate all through our body, and it can start impacting our organs. And the reason why it's so, I don't want to say it's so crucial, is because a lot of patients that had COVID, they got septic, and then they progressed to the last stage and went into septic shock. Their organs start failing. So it really, they may have had a diagnosis of COVID coming in, but then they might have went into kidney failure or, cardiogenic shock or whatever. So that's why it's very important to be familiar with these terminology, so that when we come to the hospital, don't take this the wrong way, so that we don't be ignorant of what they're saying, so we can understand. So when they go to us, talking to us about sepsis, and then we understand it, so we can say, okay, what level, what stage of sepsis are we at, and what's the treatment, so that we'll know how to, be able to care for ourselves and our loved ones.
Thank you for that. Mr. Turner, Consumers Energy is kind of a boogeyman in the room. So I thank you for coming out. Couple of questions for you. Is there a cost for that analysis that you described for us?
So yeah, no, that home energy assessment is at no cost to the customer. So that is free of charge. And so, that's really why I'm here. Thanks again for having me. Is that, we know that to many people, Consumers Energy is that sometimes dreaded bill, right? That shows up every month regarding our energy usage, and we really want to be more to that to our customers, right? We want to come alongside our customers in a very helpful and caring way to really talk about some solutions and opportunities to really reduce that bill, and a lot of kind of what's in our control as customers, as homeowners, wherever it is that we dwell, some steps that we can take to be more energy efficiency and keep some of those dollars, in your pockets and the customers' pockets, by reducing a lot of the waste that takes place in our homes and sometimes our places of business too. So we provide this at no charge to our customers. Again, they just need to have an active account. have not done it right. It's not, don't every year, right, trying to do a new energy assessment, right? So being new to having somebody and come out and give you that evaluation and make some of those upgrades as well. And then just having them do the audit to come out and give some solutions or some ideas of what we can do. I know sometimes it's a scary process, right? Because, again, as a community, I live in this community, and so we know we've been through a lot, and so we understand that it is a process of trust, right, to allow someone to come to your home and to give you an energy assessment. But I can guarantee I've done it, personally. It's I work for the company, but I'm a customer as well, and I've allowed our energy assessment crew to come into my home and give me an assessment and to make some of those modifications and upgrades to help reduce my energy costs. So it's not us coming in to assess in some way that we're going to try to assess or raise your bill. We're absolutely 100% there to support you and really help lower that bill and reduce your cost.
I've had it done as well. I saw you, Nursey. One quick question and follow up, Rafael. Actually, I lost my train. Go ahead, Nursey.
I just have a question in regard to consumer products energy. A lot of times, our patients they'll have smells, different smells, and a lot of times they don't report those smells. So then, by the time they come to the hospital, because of the fumes and that they've been experiencing for a while. So can you just hit on that? I know it's a little difference, but that's a huge concern that we have in the community as well.
Absolutely. So first of all, safety. Safety is our number one priority, and I know safety is the priority for our customers and homeowners as well. Or whether you're in a single family or a multi-dwelling unit, if you smell natural gas, first immediately evacuate. So evacuate that facility, whether it's your single home or a multi-family dwelling. Call 911. And then you can also, call the company as well. Call in, to our 1-800 number as well. But first and foremost, alert calling 911, alerting emergency officials, so that the fire department can be involved and those things, and evacuating and getting away from the scene. And so another thing to speak to as we talk about our homes is that doing the annual. I know sometimes we could things happen. Our schedules get full as individuals, and we get away from doing our annual checkups or assessments in our homes, whether we're having a private company to come out and take a look at our furnace, our water heater, looking at the things that are in our basements or utility rooms. And so really that annual maintenance is important. I know, and many are guilty of it, of doing that annual maintenance and that preventative maintenance to the major appliances and utilities that we use in our home. But it's so important to really do that and have those things checked out and make sure that they're functioning properly.
I wanted to follow up. Thank you for that, Nurse T. A follow-up, Rafael, is what are some precautions that the servicemen or women do when they come to their home for COVID?
Oh, so yes, the precautions is, usually you'll get a questionnaire before someone comes out to make sure that no one has been ill, in the home or showing symptoms of COVID or other illnesses, just, as a way to keep our workforce safe and to keep our technicians safe. And then also, right, we'll come in with masks, with gloves, with shoe coverings as well. And we have that equipment as well before we come into your home. And we also have a protocol as well internally that we're not sending out technicians that have shown symptoms of COVID or other illnesses to home. So, we have a process for them to be, off the job, have time to get healthy before we're deploying, any of those individuals to your homes. And so we're taking those steps too, even when we get there, of, wearing masks, gloves, shoe coverings, and those type of things.
That's good to hear. I know, as you mentioned, the hesitancy to have folks come to your home. unannounced. I see you got your consumer's energy gear on. So you're identified, the technicians are identified, they're using precaution to come into your home to help assess how we as consumers can have cost savings. That's a great.
Absolutely.
Great.
I want to respond to that because you just brought up a very something that's very important to us. We know, that's also a part of health and just protecting our neighbors, protecting ourselves, protecting our seniors. We know that we're in a time right now where there's a lot of scams going on right now. We know that there are a lot of people that are trying to take advantage of our seniors, our customers, regardless of age, because they're coming up with some very elaborate schemes. No one from Consumers Energy, from any utility provider that you have, will come to your home and demand payment. So like, continue to, however you do your payment, like continue to do that. No, even if they happen to come up on a t-shirt or some type of false credential, if somebody is coming to your home, requesting payment or threatening shut off, that is, they do not work for the company. That is not a policy to collect a payment from a customer one-to-one. And so, you'll have these scammers coming up asking for Amazon gift cards, or trying to get someone to go to the ATM, or demanding cash to kind of evade a shut off. That's 100% not how we operate. And so be very careful of individuals showing up that you didn't invite or you didn't schedule an assessment. We won't come to your home to do an energy assessment unless you invite us. So no one is going to knock on your door and ask you to do an energy assessment, or no one's going to knock on your door to ask for payment. That should be red flag number one, that this is a scam and they are not with the public utility.
Thank you for that. And is there a phone number? I know you gave the website. Is there a phone number for those who are not tech savvy? And as you look for that, I see Dr. Gordon has a question or comment.
Oh, just a question. Just also, like as you stated, to go over the program. So, in the community, as we know that finances also roll into health. Like, if your bill is high, your blood pressure might get high. So what are some of the ways, like, that you mentioned, avenues that they can, if they're having difficulty maintaining their bill or having shut-offs, what can they do once you find that number to get those services out? Like, your blood pressure get low, like you already taught us how to lower our bill. Now, get that, find out how to pay the bill. If you're having difficulty, also help keep that blood pressure a little lower and anxiety down.
Absolutely. Yep. So we work with, there's several service organizations that we work with. One is, we work with United Way organizations statewide. So, contacting the local United Way. We've worked with service organizations like Salvation Army. There's also, and just, there's a number of other direct, community service organizations that we work with, like G-Card. So, the county resource department as well. And so, every year, public utilities across the country, and across the state, we contribute to funds for that emergency relief when someone has got, really far down the road on accumulating a bill. And so there are community resources available out there to help someone, to correct that. We also, again, advocate for proactive programs. And so, just being proactive if you need to go on a payment plan, or, modify your bill in any way, or and a lot of times we know emergencies happen and sometimes we can't foresee those things, but, sometimes we do have some indications that there's going to be layoffs or a period of where there's not earned income in the home. It's really best to contact your public utility, whoever you use, whether you're outside of our territory or not, to really establish those payment plans, to keep to really address if you find yourself on a limited or fixed income for a period of time. So.
Thank you so much. There's never enough time. We have 5 minutes left, and there's community announcements that we want to share. Thank you so much, Nurse Battle. Thank you so much, Nurse T. Thank you, Dr. Gordon and Rafael. Thank you for joining us and sharing those resources. Did you have that number before we dive into announcements?
I do have that number. That number is 1-800-477-5050. That's our general number, 1-800-477-5050.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Prince, if you could go to the GCCP, um, thank you so much. So again, as we mentioned, Flint Innovative Solutions was funded by the Community Foundation of Greater Flint to provide the GCCP, or the Genesee County COVID Portal. Next slide, please. Which is a web-based app. As you can see to the far left, you have the health department. The top left is the MDHHS, which is the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, CDC, and Act Now. There's also resources for parents. Breaks over. It's time to get busy. Make sure that your kids are protected. Vaccine clinics, testing sites, the Flint Eats app, and these data trends that keep us alert. As Dr. Gordon mentioned, we are now at a peak season where it's so important for us to be precautious, not only of COVID, the flu, but also monkeypox. So please use this tool as a resource. You can find it at Flint Innovative Solutions.org/GCCP. With our last 3 minutes, we want to share some resources from the other partners in the community. So, Alita, if you could fast forward really quick. Thank you. So, Hasselbrink Senior Center is one of our longstanding partners. We offer smartphone technology training there on the first and third Thursday of every month. Our next one is this coming Thursday, the 15th, from 4 to 5:30. You can reach out to Miss Beverly Lewis over at Hasselbrink to register for the class, or call us at 810-529-6607. Next slide, please. We're also at the West Court Street Church of God, which will be the 28th of September, and also moving into October 12th. Next slide, please. We have the Tire Project. This project actually closes in the next couple of months. If you know anyone who is interested in becoming a tire tech, there is a $160 stipend for becoming a trained tire tech. We are in partnership with Delta Tire. You just need to be 18 and over. We prefer those on the north side of Flint. However, we've expanded to Genesee County. It's a quick process, intake process, where we help you with job placement, resume preparedness. So take advantage of this opportunity as well. Next slide, please. Our partners at Serenity House is having their 8th annual recovery walk and rally. They are looking for sponsors as well, vendors and vendor tables. If you want to get out, get some exercise. As we all know, as we take it to the streets, it's important to stay moving and active. This is a way that you can be a part of a greater event and cause for those that are in recovery, walking and pronouncing that we are all in this together. That's September 24th at 1 o'clock at the North Bank Center. And I have one more minute. Next slide. School. Keep going. That one right there. Sorry. As Rafael talked about, our environment is so important. Instead of trying to throw those paint cans away, which is problematic, the Habitat for Humanity and the Genesee County Metropolitan Planning Commission allow us to take those paint cans. I know some of us did some remodeling, some painting over the summer and or through COVID. Take those paint cans to Habitat for Humanity for proper disposal. They're open from Tuesdays to Saturdays from 9:30 to 4. Next slide, please. And these slides will be shared on our Facebook page. Everything that we talked about, COVID-19, racism as a public health crisis, and the water crisis, the ongoing water crisis. Nurse T mentioned this specifically. We are all in a state of grief. Rather, how you deal with it depends on your own personal faith traditions and or whatnot. The Genesee Health Systems has a hotline and also support groups on Thursdays from 4 to 5:30 that you can tap into to get the help that you need to get through these difficult times. Everyone needs support. Don't deny yourself the ability to reach out and get some help. And then closing out, I hope you were able to take some notes. These phenomenal women, these educators, Mr. Turner, who is a Flint Stone, making sure that he shares these information and resources with the community. Join us back. Share this podcast on your social media platforms, but join us again next month, October 2nd, for the second Sunday podcast, Taking It to the Street, Healthy Conversations for Us, by Us. Thank you so much for joining us. Please take care and be safe.